Today we're gonna upcycle thrifted material into a jacket, or we should call it a hybrid jacket. Recently I've been getting into some pattern making. Started from scratch using a bodice block with my own measurements, but I still have a lot to alter, more specifically in the sleeves. It's one of those things I could have just bought a pattern, but what's the fun in that? I mean, I want to learn the full art. I didn't want to take too long off of YouTube. It's been like what, a month since I posted last, so I decided to go to the thrift and pick up some material, and we can just fill in the gaps with the material that we upcycle. Another day we save a piece from going into the landfill. Other than pattern making, we tried a lot of new techniques. For example, usage of bias tape, welt pockets, a lot of darts, manipulation of the fabric, but of course I added my own style to it. Of course, I was just mainly focused on catching the right silhouette for this. But yo, we gotta get into this video. It's been too long. I forgot to do my intro, so we're already got started. So let's rewind a little bit. Let's talk about the material I picked up from the thrift. Now I got 2 pairs of a dark wash denim, very heavyweight with some beautiful fading. The other pair is the same thing. We just cut it up already. My other project that I already started, we used 3 pairs of black Wranglers. Keep in mind, all these are 100% cotton, and all these pants range from size 40 to 44. Now, I learned a lot from this first piece, and I changed a lot of the pattern. Now, the key to upcycling with different material is to make sure it's in the same weight class. With the wrong material, you can get unexpected wrinkling and a lot of tension in certain areas of the body. So if pairing denim with anything else, make sure it's heavy weighted. We got this LL Bean waffle knit that's very heavy weighted, going to fit beautifully with that dark indigo wash. I'm thinking on pairing this camouflage into the hood. I styled this so far with the buttons from a button up as well as the sleeves of the garment, and I think I'm gonna do the same with the camouflage, use the buttons, but for the sleeves I'm gonna use this heavy knitted fabric from LL Bean. So we're gonna be panning back and forth. I fixed some of the pattern for this one. I'm going to be doing a little bit different, but I'm still gonna go in order, and then at the end we're gonna detail both of them up and call it a day and see what else we can make from this. Let's go. I think I'm gonna keep the waistband. We may need it later. Threads out. I missed. For the back pattern, since it's so wide, we're gonna need that middle seam, and we're just gonna lay it symmetrical. All right, something very important before we put these pattern pieces onto the garment, we gotta establish the grain line and make sure all these pattern pieces can fit. The warp that goes vertical. Vertical threads are what we're gonna see on the top, right? The weft is there for like extra support and also is weaving in and out of those. That's why when we distress, we take the top layer off, exposing the nice distressing, binds everything together, makes it stretchy. If we were to lay this way and place the patterns with the weft wrong, the mobility will be way off. We upcycle, so we know the grain line is just running right down that line. Put the seam straight, so then I know the rest is supposed to be at an angle. Now, this is what I mean by placing the seam directly in the center. Later in the project, we're gonna have to cut down while we do some flat fell seams because it's gonna get real bulky in a minute. The lines are real nice. This is pretty much what the pattern's gonna be looking like with that flat fell seam, right? These will all be flat fell seams. See how different it looks from my first one. Basically, I just narrowed down the pattern, fixed some areas on the chest. I just cut off the sleeves entirely to save time. Just made sense. And later we could fill in the gaps. Now, for some of these pieces, I did add a layer of camouflage underneath. 2 back middle panels, I did add that camouflage. And for the 2 front panels, that middle piece, which mine is labeled number 3, always label your pieces, is camouflage. So later when we distress, have something in the background, giving that pop of color through the piece. Got the honeycombing coming into the front panel. My other project, I used flat felt seams, but this one I decided to go with bias tape. Good option to keep that quality and add an aesthetic or a vibe. I'm gonna show you how to do both, but let's get started on this. I gotta iron these up. Bias tape is a great way to keep everything clean and professional. It's called bias tape because it's cut on a 45-degree bias. Like I said before, its grain line is slanted, providing more stretchiness. It's more commonly used in some active wear. It usually comes in these rolls, right? And you unroll it. It comes already with that tri-fold, folded once on each side, and then one in the middle, creating a nice seal. You do not need a serger for this. All right, quick disclaimer. This isn't the only way. This isn't the right way, wrong way. This is just a way I did it. So my seam allowance was already at 5/8 of an inch. I already put it on my pattern. I laid up my patterns and placed them good sides together, pinned them up just like regular, and sewed them in a straight line on that seam allowance. After that, I took it over to the serger, and this is where I had to make sure to position my pressure foot in a way where the cutting blade would cut enough fabric to easily be able to lay over that bias tape. If I had to guess, it roughly took off maybe a half a centimeter, but if you guys don't have a serger, you can honestly just cut the ends along that seam allowance, and depending on how big your bias tape is, just cut it accordingly. And what I like about this method is that on the outside, it actually leaves something that looks like a flat felt seam with a double stitch. Now we have to measure the length of the actual seam, and 9 times out of 10 all your seams are going to be around the same size, so for this panel I just cut a lot. Mine was 18 inches, but I did leave another inch, so a half an inch on each side. And this is where it kind of gets tricky, so you're gonna have to lay down your seams, just iron it up. My seams, they were laid inwards, so I ironed inwards and tucked that bias tape underneath on that fold. So I didn't even iron the bias tape. It's a very simple, easy method. So the fold should be on the outside, folding inwards towards where we just sewn. And here again, I'm just ironing up. You can see I placed a clip on there. That was just to make sure it was laying straight. You can pin this up if you feel more comfortable, but we're gonna do a straight stitch right on the edge of that initial serge line. So mine specifically, I was sewing at 3/8 of an inch. You can see I'm taking my time. Don't go too fast. Make sure you're tucking that fabric, especially if you don't have pins like me. And again, I'm taking that time, and that bias tape is already at a fold under that seam. So we created our first stitch, and now that bias tape is locked in, and we simply fold it over that serge line, and it's all hidden away. And on the underside, which is the right sides of the fabric, it does appear to be a flat felt seam, but when you open it up, it has this beautiful coloring hiding all the stitching. And we're just sewing real close to that edge, again 3/8 of an inch apart now. And when you're working with more bulkier stuff, you can cut it a little bit. That's why I said leave a little extra. You never know if you're gonna need more room. And even for the ends, like the waistband, you can do the same thing, or even tuck it in since you have extra. I put some YKK zippers on my garment, so I wanted that bias tape on there too. Nice finish. So I actually did a basting stitch onto the garment itself with the bias tape on that fold already set. And when I sewed that zipper over, same thing, it was sewn over on that fold on that bias tape. Then you can easily sew it right over. You can see already how good it's looking. And yeah, just after this, just do one more stitch and it's laid perfectly. And I love this method. You're gonna see this a lot with me now. Even with jeans, I'm gonna get real creative with this. Just remember to always keep your seams aligned and make sure it's all laid perfect. Pins will really help in this situation. Now let's talk about flat felt seams. And before we start this, there are multiple ways to do this, and even maybe better ways to do it, but this is all my seam allowance was allowing me to do. See what I mean? I have a lot to alter on this pattern. Seam allowance, some darts, a sleeve for a better silhouette, but we're gonna sew this at 5/8 of an inch again. One straight stitch, pin it up, make sure everything's lining up correctly. I am using the seam guide. It really speeds up the process. And like I said, this first stitch is very important. It's like the foundation of how these seams are going to be laid out. All right. Flip it to the back and push those seams open. Now we're going to iron it up. Now decide what direction you want your seams to be laid out. Now I'm going to cut this end because I want the seams to overlap and add more dimension into the center of the piece. We're going to mark this at 1/4 of an inch or a half a centimeter just above it. And we're going to cut along the seam. Now we're going to lay the longer side over the shorter side and iron it. Then tuck the longer end under the shorter end and iron. Tuck and iron. Tuck and iron. I really like to press this down. Make sure you're stretching that fabric as you're sewing. It's also good to use a different pressure foot. That's why I switch machines a lot. It just saves time. Iron over it. I'm going to flip this over. Right. Now we're going to stitch the ends again. Pretty simple. I did the same thing, sewed 5/8 of an inch. And for the bulkier part where that seam already aligns, I lined it up. It's really a thicker piece to sew through, so you can seam rip some of this, cut some of the excess. You can easily fold this over and make that other seam. Now we're moving on to the sleeves, and this is pretty simple. Just make sure everything's lining up. Make sure everything's a nice measurement. You can even add extra fabric to the back if you want more fabric to the back or fabric to the front. I think the most important part of this is around the shoulder and keeping your seams aligned as well. But as always, keep your measurements precise. And I added notches on the highest point of the shoulder, which I'll show in a second. And by the way, keep all your material. For next video is going to be my t-shirt hybrid video. I'm saving this for that. So I don't want anybody to think I'm wasting material. I save everything. Flip your main piece inside out, wrong side's facing outwards, and same thing for that sleeve. Let me show you how to put these notches on and where you should put them. So I put them on the highest point of that shoulder. Again, you don't want any bulkiness on the shoulder. You don't want any twisting on that sleeve. So find the highest point on that shoulder, on the donor fabric, and the main garment. Now I cut these with some fabric scissors, or you could place your points with some chalk. Doesn't matter. Now we're going to pin these up, and just remember these are inside out. So we're going to pin it up from that notch on the highest point and work our way to the sides to the seam, and everything should align accordingly. Again, my next video is going to be about hybrid t-shirts, so I'm going to go into more detail about this process, different ways you can alter even more. When sewing this up, just make sure any fabric isn't bunching up underneath. Depending on what material you are using, it's more prone to happen, and that's one of the pros and cons with using clips. With pins, that bunching up wouldn't really happen underneath. So, it's just about what you use. It's one reason I use that seam guide. Do you guys consider that as cheating? I don't know. It allows me to be very, very precise though, and professional. End of the day, I want everything to be top quality, and this helps. I don't have a manufacturer, so this helps speed that process up. Going around the shoulder has to be one of the most crucial parts for this because it automatically has a natural curve to it. So just work around that curve and try to maneuver it around your machine to the best of your abilities to make the best quality stitch. You can see here, I did add that bias tape eventually and just straighten it out. Of course, using our best friend, the iron, and then I hit it with that last final top stitch. Then we can work on the collar. You can see I'm hammering these seams down. Maybe you shouldn't hammer that hard, but it really helps getting a mallet or a hammer and debulking these seams, cutting the seam or ironing the seam even to soften up those fibers. I will drop a pattern for everything, the collar, everything, etc. Once I perfect this pattern, scale it up, and I'm using a lot of a method called slash and spread. You can add volume, decrease volume, add darts. But of course, I'm going to show you guys once it's complete. Going to put this little guard here, and the way I'm going to do that is I already put the button here and just sew it. Now we're wrapping up this piece. All I had to do left is sew the waistband on and the welt pocket. Now I'm going to do the welt pocket first so we can sew and secure it with the waistband. So for this specifically, there are many ways to do it. I did cut 2 separate panels, but you can cut one long panel like this. Just double the measurements. Here are my measurements specifically for mine. You can make it taller, you can make it wider, whatever you like. You see this little box here? I did mark on the underside of the panel, and this is where we're going to cut through both of the layers. Now you're going to have to mark your initial piece as well. You can see I placed it on. I actually put it on and see where it fits best. Easy access to slide your hand in like a regular functioning pocket. Once you draw that box on to the piece, now we can match the box where you want to pin this up. Now this is the front of my panel. You can see the zipper, and we're going to put this good sides together and just match these 2 points and pin it up on the sides here. So it would look something like this. Remember, good sides facing together. We are going to sew only on the outside of the mark that we made. Now we can cut along this line, making sure we don't cut through the stitch that we just made. Get real close to that stitch. We are going to fold this into the inside of the garment here. Pull it through, and you'll see a box forming, and it will look something like this. So let's iron this. Okay, now we're going to take the same width, mine is an inch, and we're going to fold an inch right over here, just barely before it overlaps. Then we can iron it again. Now on the other side, it should open up like this, and we're going to top stitch around this. You're only top stitching the box. Make sure you can still slide your hand through it, and then connect that back panel to the back and serge it up, sew it up, and it's connected. I mean, you could connect it to the waistband. Now finally, I'm just adding some details. Distressing as always. You know, I like that grunge, dirty kind of vibe with my clothing. This is a piece where it's easy to layer. There's holes peeping through. You can add colors. You know, it's summertime. Like, my pieces are bound to be layered with, I feel like. You can see the dimension, the different material in the background. I did a lot of mending, of course, Chico hand stitching, adding buttons, and I'm still customizing it now, still adding silhouette. You can see I'm adding darts here. Darts just allow you to taper in certain areas at the waist, neckline, you know. I just did triangle darts. There are like diamond shaped darts as well, but you have to knot these seams off. So leave a tail at the end of the stitch, knot it off so no fabric puckers and ruins the manipulation of the fabric. Initially, I was going to create my own sleeve pattern. This was me trying, but it just didn't fit how I wanted to and how I visualized it. So that's why I did what I did. I'm currently editing my current pattern and creating better sleeves that fit better, more slimmer fit, and not so tight around in certain areas. So it's going to take some time, but I will perfect it. But either way, I loved how these turned out. I did paint them, and I think you guys know how I paint by now. You can check out my other videos if you are interested. But the point of this video was to step out my comfort zone, starting from the beginning when I designed the pattern. I mean, I use, this is my first time really creating my own pattern. I could have bought something, you know, but learning the real art itself is different than, you know, buying a pattern online. You know, once you learn this, and it's stuck with you forever, and you'll be able to create some crazy pieces. And I hope you guys like how it turned out. I think it turned out beautiful. I'm gonna be making way more. I'm gonna be altering a lot of the stuff, but nonetheless, I do love how these turned out. They have a lot of personality and character, and of course, I added my style to it. I'm probably editing and still doing measurements as you're watching this, but if you're still watching this video, I just want to say, if I don't post as often, that's because I am always constantly working on something new, but I always come back to share with you guys and give you guys advice, or you can message me on my other platforms. I try to help everybody. I do have a lot of messages coming in, but we're gonna get real consistent this summer. We're going crazy this summer, let me tell you that. So hit that subscribe button. I'm hosting a giveaway soon, but chase your dreams. I'm gonna see you in the next. We out.